right at 10:20 a.m. on Wednesday, March 13th, 2024. And I do call this meeting of the Industrial Development Board to order, as it appears we do have a quorum. Moving on to item number 2, public comment period. The Industrial Development Board holds a designated public comment period at each meeting. Members of the public in attendance may provide comments to the board or its committees during such designated time. Members of the public are allotted 2 minutes for public comment. No advanced registration is required. Is there anyone here from the public wishing to speak? Seeing as there is no one from the public here wishing to speak, we will move to close the public comment period. All right, moving on to item number 3, approval of prior meeting minutes from the February 14th, 2024 meeting. I will give everyone a quick minute to give those a brief review, and then I will entertain a motion to approve. Thank you. All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion.
All right, we have a motion from Board Member Wright. Do we have a second? All right, thank you, Board Member Haston. Any discussion? All right, and question for legal. Typically I abstain, not that I'm required to, just my choice. Today, as we have 5 people, do I need to vote on all matters?
You don't, as long as it's the majority of those who are here, that's fine.
Okay, all right, that sounds good, thank you. All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes from the February 14th, 2024 meeting, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, motion carried. Please let the record show that the chair abstained. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 4, ad hoc committee report. I'll be brief on this. During our ad hoc committee, today's ad hoc committee meeting, I greatly appreciate Jamari Brown giving us some really key statistics that Metro Nashville and his office are tracking, looking at income levels, poverty rates, labor, also giving us some updates on some targeted industries that they're looking to attract, as well as an update on the strategic plan and Prosper Nashville report that was started a few years ago. Based on Jamari's insight, that report is set to be completed later this year. So no, really great insights, and we look forward to continue those conversations and more updates in the ad hoc committee report. All right, moving on to item number 5, Tennessee Economic Development Grant for August Bioservices. Quick background on this. This is a state pass-through grant for August Bioservices. So again, these funds are not coming from Metro Nashville, they're coming from the state, but essentially due to state statute, those funds cannot go directly from the state to the company. They have to come to the IDB first, and then that money goes to the company. And this is something that came before this board, ironically, right about 3 years ago. And their facility is on Elm Hill Pike, I guess technically not Donaldson, but it's somewhat close to Donaldson. And I think you have we have a representative from August Bioservices. And I think you were here 3 years ago, correct? And that's when we were meeting. If you can come up here to and what we'll do very quickly first is allow you to give us a little bit about your organization, understand you're in the biotech drug business. You can take a seat and then just hit the, speak into the microphone, introduce yourselves. And when you came before us 3 years ago, you had to wait about 4 or 5 hours on the agenda that day, if you recall. And that's right. So we let you come. We moved you up earlier in the meeting this time, and at the time we were meeting virtually, so it's great to have you in person. So I'll turn it over to you, and then I'll have we have some representatives with the state. I'll have you all come up and introduce yourselves and kind of give us a high-level overview on why this company and what they're doing fit with economic development for the state and qualify for the grant.
Yeah.
All right, turn it over to you very quickly. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Mats Björkman. I'm the CFO of August Bioservices. Been with the company since we started the investment in July 2020 when we invested in a company here that did very limited kind of protein research and clinical one manufacturing of sterile injectables, which is more or less vials, syringes, and IV bags. We also do help and support for analytical development and formulation for the pharma industry. It's an enormously kind of interesting field right now. There is a big demand on these products and very little supply in the US. It is something that there is multiple players, and we are one of them that want to build back the capacity of those vessels that deliver, you know, the important drug directly to the patients through sterile injectable delivery forms. So we are, right, as you said, 1845 Millman Pike. We bought land and building there as part of the program. We have invested initially where we got the grant from you, and I want to thank you for that. And it was very helpful for us to get the support both from the state and from the Metro for adding around 180 jobs and investing $75 million to get to the first stage. In mid of 2022, we saw that there was like really a lot of demand for the products, and one of the stuff with this, it's that it's very capital heavy, right? I mean, it's something that is a barrier into market. It takes like 3 years more or less from the day you decide that you want to have capacity until the day you can feel reasonably sure that you should be up and producing. So in 2022, we took a decision to take in a Series B funding, which we are here for today, and ask gracefully for the grant of $65 million, and adding another kind of like a little less than 100 jobs. I think it is 96 that we are going to add on that. So how this is helping the area is that these businesses traditionally have been very, very centered to the East Coast around Boston and North Carolina, and the West Coast around San Diego. We see an enormously important role to establish ourselves in the Midwest, to have this manufacturing here. We also see like an enormous kind of like benefit from being here in this area because of the logistical structure that is here, and the competence that is sitting here in a lot of instances unused on the biomedical and the chemical kind of side for this because the region is very, very strong on healthcare in general, but on the manufacturing side, I mean, we are really the only ones here on the CDMO side for sterile injectables. I know Thermo Fisher is investing up in Lebanon now, but it's a very different kind of business versus what we are doing. How we are also supporting and helping the community here is that there is some position that is very specialized that we need to relocate in. So getting, you know, that competence in from the East Coast and the West Coast to work as ring on the water to actually get that here is super important for the further growth for us, to train and educate, you know, people that is young in their careers to actually be spearheaded into the CDMO for sterile manufacturing. And it's also tiered. It's very kind of advanced scientists that we have on both PhD and master level, but also like people coming out from 2-year technical kind of college degrees that is working in our manufacturing space that we are growing rapidly right now. We have 2 high-speed lines coming in, and it's going to be ready for manufacturing in a year, which takes, these kind of people. And the salaries are actually reasonably good for those jobs too. It's not only the kind of like PhDs and master degree kind of salaries that is lucrative. It's also the 2-year kind of degree manufacturing jobs that is on a reasonably high level to support the area, to build the competence here for further growth in the industry.
Thank you for giving us the background on that. And from what I recall 3 years ago, and I saw some bulldozers when I drove by, you all were doing, at the time 3 years ago, you were about to start construction on another building.
Yep, correct.
On the same campus right next door. What's the update on that, and what was that used for?
So the building is actually standing right now, and the outer shells, and I will say that 1/3 of the building is in use as advanced warehouse for clinical material and for finished products for our clients. We are, for the other 2/3, in the midst of starting the final construction that is inside of the building to build 2 filling suites that is GMP manufacturing qualified for 2 high-speed vial lines that we have ordered. That is going to increase our capacity dramatically when we are up and running with them in a year.
Thank you for the updates on that. So, like I said, I drove by, I was like, great to see the bulldozer. So I remember you brought that up 3 years ago. Yeah. All right, very briefly, what I'll do first, I'll turn over to my colleagues if there's any questions about the business, and then I'll have the state come up and give a brief background on why this fit. They thought it was important for this to qualify under the grant program. So I'll start here with Board Member Wright. To my right, any questions?
Yeah, just a couple questions.
Sure.
Thanks for the presentation. Appreciate bringing the jobs. And question, you had mentioned 180 before and a possible 96 adding up to 100.
Correct.
Can you give a breakdown on the type of jobs, positions?
Yeah, no, I can definitely do that. We have added around 80 jobs now, which is mostly in the laboratory service space, which is in that kind of area with, if you're young in your career, it's a bachelor degree in chemical as a chemist, or like bioengineering or lab programs and biology. Okay. The more advanced job for that is like people that is having 30 years experience, PhDs, been working in the industry. So that is the first kind of like step. We also built the management structure, of course, of the company that is running this. And so if you think about it, it's a couple of levels that you need to have secure for doing this. It's a lot of competence around facility that is needed for something like that, because of the GMP spaces. So, I mean, if you think about it, in certain areas, I always try to explain it for people that may not actually be as adverse in how this manufacturing work, but it's more or less you take on a moon suit and go into the filling suite because it needs to be completely clean. Right. Because you can't take the risk, of course, to do manufacturing of something that is going into human bodies and have contamination in it. So that is actually an important part from the facility, to make sure that everything is working with utilities and the fill rooms and everything of that. Another thing is the lab services, as I talked about. Another very, very heavy kind of investment that we have done right now that you need to do in the beginning is in the quality assurance process. And there is also like highly educated people that is in the kind of quality space of pharma manufacturing. And then we have slowly but surely ramped up our production capabilities here because we renovated a facility that we were into and have capabilities to do medium-sized manufacturing in that space. So what is coming in the next space is to continue to build on our manufacturing organization. And that is everything from these kind of 2-year technical kind of position that I'm talking about, that is in the fill suite. We give them GMP training, we give them gowning training, we give them like training around how to clean the facility, because cleaning is something that is very, very important. And I'm not talking about like traditional janitorial services.
Okay.
That is very appreciated too. We have that too and need to do.
Absolutely.
This is very much more advanced from that perspective. So that is where we are growing right now on the manufacturing side, from the 130-ish people we are now to more or less double the size of the business. Is going to be very heavy on the quality side and the manufacturing.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned that you went from PhD down to associate degree. So
Yeah.
as a percentage, would you say,
When we are ready and done, I think that 80% of our workforce is going to sit in quality assurance and manufacturing, which is going to be probably like 65-35, 65% manufacturing and 35% quality assurance.
okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you, Board Member Wright. Moving on, Board Member Hastings, question for our guest?
Yeah, I thank you for bringing the jobs.
Thank you.
And thank you, State, for giving the grant. I guess it's, when doing economic development, the hope is that you're also spurring additional conglomeration of sister businesses.
Yeah.
Have you seen other businesses that you relate to, or have you attracted other businesses to the area?
Directly into the CDMO sterile manufacturing business, I would say no to that. We are very active in trying to get the lab service, research service kind of area growing here. So we are engaged with that, for example, with Vanderbilt and with the Health Council here, and trying to get rings on the water for the investment we are doing here. If you look at like our strategy, it's a lot of breaking ice. I mean, it's a very, very hard to do this the first time in an area like this. And I think that a lot of the lesson learned that we have been doing right now is going to have, like in 3 to 5 years, a very, very positive effect on investments that want to come in here. So I think that is an extremely positive kind of thing. If you look at the indirect side, though, is that we also have been breaking ice when it comes to the construction side of a pharma facility. And the training we have done of the workforce and the contractors here is also going to stay on the competence zone, because it's very special to build a sterile injectable manufacturing facility. And we have, for example, trained vendors that we have been taking in from the East Coast, and trained local vendors here on orbital welding. That is something that is extremely important for a pharma facility like ours. And also, like the quality requirements are actually very high. So having vendors to be used to that kind of progress is something definitely we have seen a direct effect of since we have been coming here.
So is there like a specific skill set that we should, as a city, we should hopefully be training our people?
I would say when it comes to this pharma manufacturing side, yes, I think the training is very important around how it is to work in general in a GMP kind of regulated environment that is in its turn audited by FDA. I think that competence is here to a certain degree, but when you look at the specialist kind of competence for a CDMO that is doing like the API, that is like the ingredients that is getting into a drug, for example, or the direct fill of a sterile injectable, for example, that competence is not here. So, I mean, guided education together with some of the universities around that, I think, could be very helpful to build the business stronger in the area. And back again, we are working with the Healthcare Council on that. We are getting, small education grants too from the states to do training around new employees that is coming in, especially with this kind of like either no education if they're working on the facility side, for example, and maintenance, or the 2-year kind of college degrees to come in and get a good kind of life and a good kind of livelihood from the positions they are taking up with us.
Gotcha. And are there any other tools that we as an industrial development board should look at in terms of attracting other jobs?
I think continuing to support the technical colleges, I mean, is something that is extremely important. I see this as a hidden kind of, I mean, my personal opinion now, but I see this as a very, very hidden kind of potential to get people in that maybe didn't take a college education from the beginning. They went in and had a blue-collar job somewhere and want to continue to do later in life educations and can go in and take a 2-year kind of technical degree and be much more kind of competitive on that front. And so continue to supporting that. I think it's very, very important for our industries when it comes to the manufacturing of that, and also maybe tailor some of the educations around that other parts of the countries have done.
Awesome, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you for those questions. Board Member Hannah, any questions or comments for our guests?
No additional questions, but also want to thank you for bringing
Thank you.
us to town and for giving us the overview, and fellow board members for their great questions.
Make it easy for you. All right, I'll start with you next. All right, thank you. If we could have the state representatives come up, thank you. Thank you for your time and answering our questions.
Thank you again for the support you're giving. I mean, this is very, very important for us and get a kind of like solid ground in the community here too. And I have to say, I mean, everyone has been so welcome that when we have been coming in here, it's been a pleasure to actually choose Nashville as the site to be. Because of course it was a discussion. We are the first one here. It would have been much easier to go to North Carolina or to Boston and have all the infrastructure around that. But I can say that we haven't regretted one day to place our business here and call Nashville home. It's like very, very important for us, and the support that the state and you guys have done for us have been very, very valuable.
There's nothing else to say on that, so thank you. I like that. All right, well, first off, I want to thank our representatives from the state. Yes, hit the button right there. So we have, well, I'll let you introduce yourself. So maybe tell us, first, introduce yourself, introduce your colleague to us, and tell us kind of we can talk about the transition.
Yes.
We'll have a new contact. So start with that first.
Lindy Baronis. I am now the Assistant Commissioner for Strategy for ECD. I was the Regional Director for Greater Nashville, and why I came before this IDB quite a bit in the past because of the projects I worked in this area. While I was Regional Director, I recruited Erin Hutchins from Rutherford County. She was on their economic development team, and she is now taking over for my regional position, and she will be your regional contact for Nashville-based projects going forward. I am still around and happy to help in any capacity, and have a long history with Jamari as a recruiter for the state, and so I'm sure we will work very closely with you guys. And I think our hope moving forward with Jamari's return is that we will be even more connected and close relationship with Metro Nashville. So that is our hope and that is our goal, and I think we see that coming. But Erin's taking over. But with regard to August Bio, we're really excited about this project in that this is exactly the type of project that we, the state, value and work to recruit. And I say that because 3 years ago, you're right, Nigel, that's when we first came with the announcement of the company actually coming here and their first phase of jobs and investment in the community. Since then, we're still within the same contract period for the grant with the state. Since that time, they've come back to us and said, we're doing so well here that we want to amend our current agreement and add more jobs and investment to the grant. And so what you guys are doing today is you're approving an amendment, not a new grant, because the company is growing faster than they originally even thought was possible when they first came 3 years ago. And so that original grant that you guys approved in 2020 was right about 181 jobs. I think Mott said that, and about 64 million. The grant or the contract now with the state is for 271 total jobs and a capital investment of 129 million. So again, the exact type of company that we love to see and to recruit here is the company that not only comes the first time and we provide an incentive to, but a company that is so successful, but also values the success they see here in Tennessee and the workforce and the speed at which they're getting ramped up, and come back to us in that same period and say, we want to commit to more. We want to do more here. And so that's something that we've seen, and I think Mott's hit on it a little bit, but they were the first one in, they were the anchor in this pharmaceutical manufacturing space. We have the healthcare management companies, but at the end of the day, those are really C-suite office type executive jobs. These are true R&D jobs in the healthcare, biotech, pharmaceutical space. These are jobs that we haven't had in Nashville and Tennessee in general. And we actually think August for being a first one in, because that is not something that those companies take lightly. There are entire clusters built around and for this industry in places like Boston and California. So for a company to say, no, we don't want to go to that area, or we're not going to go to those areas, we're going to go to this area that doesn't have this industry built out and doesn't have this workforce already existing, is a testament to, I think, their belief in Tennessee and in the Nashville area, and their commitment to doing more work to be able to help build that here. And I think Mott's is a very humble person, but I say that their CEO, Jen Adams, and Mott's are involved in every healthcare committee, council. They are leading the charge in this space. They are on keynotes and events in the community to try and build up this healthcare industry locally. And so I think it's a big win for us at the state level. I think it's a big win for us in Nashville. And I would also say since then, it's a little bit different and not to their level, but we have seen companies like Thermo Fisher in Wilson County make a decision to come here. There's a confidential project we're looking right now in Memphis that is in the pharmaceutical manufacturing space. So I think there is a tie to them really saying we're doing this and bringing this here, and we're seeing that impact across the state. So we're excited. Thank you, August, for what you're doing.
Lindy, thank you for sharing that and totally agree. When we think about some of the other industries that Nashville is not necessarily known for, you go back 10, 15 years ago, we had Music City, healthcare, right, which are great industries. But, we've had the tech come, and certainly Alliance Bernstein at 5th and Broad, relocating from New York. You go back 10 years ago, I guess 10 to 12 years ago, maybe Alliance Bernstein, when they started, maybe they don't see Nashville as that without a UBS. So totally agree that, once you get that, and I hope you take this gentleman to all your pitch meetings.
Yeah, we need to have a commercial with just Mott's, and blast it everywhere.
So outstanding. Well, I appreciate it. And so for what we're doing today, the original agreement as far as the grant amount, as far as it's coming through the IDB, legal, correct me if I'm incorrect, was initially $2 million.
That's correct.
And now, because of their growth, it's going to be an additional $1 million.
Correct.
That will be coming through the IDB that will be passed on to the company, should this board approve. Okay. With that, there are 3 documents that this board received. One is the accountability agreement, and that's an accountability agreement between the IDB, 3-party agreement, right?
Correct.
IDB,
Between
state, and the company. And then there's an agreement between the IDB and the state, which we're essentially agreeing to, once we receive the money, pass that on to the company.
Correct.
Accountability agreement. And then there's also an agreement between the IDB and the company as well. Correct. So three agreements, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. You reviewed the documents, think you drafted one of them, your team did. Is everything in order with the documents? Anything that you need to point out for us from a legal perspective?
I don't. As you mentioned, there are 3 agreements that you're approving. One is the amendment to the accountability agreement, and then the other 2 agreements, as the chair mentioned, is the agreement, which is a new agreement between the state and the IDB for the additional $1 million. And then, since this is a pass-through, there is an agreement between the IDB and the company. But we have reviewed and everything's in order, so if you guys are so inclined to approve, it's in a position to do so.
All right, thank you for that. So before we do that, I'll just make sure to give anybody an opportunity to ask questions. Board Member Cordova, any questions for legal or the state? All right, start here with Board Member Hannah. All right, Board Member Hayes. Board Member. All right, thank you. All right, with that, I will entertain a motion from the board to approve the Economic Development Grant for August Bioservices. All right, so we have a motion for Board Member Haston. Is there a second? All right, we'll do Board Member Wright. So we have a proper second for Board Member Wright. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, motion carried. Please let the record show that the chair abstained. Thank you. I will say to this, I want to thank our representative for August Bioservices. Great to see you in person. I want to thank the state again for coming as well. Thank you, Lindy, for the last several years. Lindy's been a great point person for us, great partnership in economic development. So congratulations, but we're great to know that you'll still be around. And Aaron, this is my first time meeting Aaron in person, but certainly I've had meetings with the state here over the last several months, and look forward to working with Aaron as well. And as we think about economic development overall, certainly the relationship with the state and being good partners are certainly critical to the success of what we're trying to accomplish. So really thank Aaron for coming on board, and it's been great to work with. So we look forward to more, so bring us more. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 6, final authorizing bond resolutions, Cumberland Heights Foundation Incorporated. All right, so I think we have a representative from Cumberland Heights here again. If you want to come here, just hit the red mic. What again? Obviously, you were here last month, so don't necessarily have to go into as much detail, but certainly for me, just be curious to know, are you still depending on what happens today, are you still on schedule to start your site work here and get permits? Looks like April or May. And then if there's anything else that you didn't cover with us that you want to share with us, please feel free to do so. And then I'll turn it over just in case our board members have any questions before we get into the bond documents.
Thank you again for having us today. I'm Jay Crossan, CEO of Cumberland Heights Foundation, and we are on track with the project. We actually have a groundbreaking on April 17th that we've scheduled.
Okay. Is the board invited? This board?
Yes, we would love for
you. Or you want to wait to decide if we're invited?
Well, we would love for you to come. Presumptively, we would love to.
April 17th?
April 17th at 1 p.m.
Okay.
Would love to have you there. And I will not repeat everything that I've said before, but I do think that this building will have great impact on the greater Nashville community for decades to come, really. We've been serving this community, helping people find recovery from alcohol and substance use disorder since 1966. And this is the largest expansion or renovation on our campus since its inception. So this tax-exempt funding is important for us. We try to be good stewards of our donor dollars, and so this enables us to get a better financing rate, quite frankly, for this bond.
Yeah, could you do I mean, based on where construction costs are now, could you do this project without the tax-exempt financing?
We could, but there would be, dollars that would be spent towards interest payment to a bank that can't be put into direct services for patients and families that need the help. So that's really the difference there. So.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. Board Member Cordova, start with you. Any questions for? All right. Board Member Hannah, question. Board Member Wright, obviously they were here last month, but any questions, burning questions that?
Oh, no, not any burning question, but you did hit an interesting point there about the holding cost on the project. So you mentioned that these funds will actually help the project move along faster, get a better product because you don't have to spend so much money on the interest payments.
That's correct. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, yeah, so I just want to highlight that. So yeah, that's very understandable, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
Point statement.
yeah, great point, for sure. Board Member Haston.
Just a couple quick questions. I saw in your loan agreement that you guys have the option to prepay the bonds and no prepayment penalty.
Correct.
Is that your guys' plan, so you can?
Well, so we were in the middle of a capital campaign, and if we were to get capital donations that would allow us to pay it down quicker, then we certainly would and could. So that was just a negotiating point in order to pay it off quicker if those funds are available. But we're in a it's not knowable yet, so we are hopeful that that will happen. But actually, and it's not envisioned in this bond, there is a second building that we want to do in the future, and so all of those factors come into play. You know, how much comes in for the campaign. We would love to do an additional building in the future too. It's not. We might be back. We might be back in a few years. So.
Awesome. Thank you. No further questions.
All right, thank you for that. All right, well, I appreciate it, and obviously looked at it out there in West Nashville, River Road, beautiful landscape. I would, obviously for folks, I would think going through recovery is lot less distractions and just beautiful green everywhere. So certainly, I guess unfortunate that it's needed, but glad that we have an organization like yours to help people in need and get them recovered and back into society and productive citizens. So, so thank you. So what I'll do now, if you'll hang tight,
Okay.
I'll turn it over to our Issuers Council, Corbin Carpenter. Thank you for putting together all these documents and reviewing them and all the hard work to get this together. So this is the first new bond deal that this board has potentially approved in several years. And certainly we've got some new board members as well. So for this one, if you could kind of give us a high-level overview. Obviously, we received several documents in the packet. If you could just walk us through high-level points on each document, and then I'll turn it over to my colleagues for any questions.
Absolutely, and good morning, board. Mr. Chair, thank you. It was a team effort for sure. Attorney Alex Buchanan serves as bond counsel for this transaction too. So it was a team and collaborative effort on putting these documents together for the issuance of this bond. So before you, board, you have a final bond resolution, and attached thereto are the form of the bond documents in substantially final form. This bond resolution pretty much just approves it authorizes the issuance and sale of the bond and authorizes the approval of the substantially final form bond documents. As the board knows, that this is not a public sale. This is a bond to be issued as a private placement to Pinnacle Bank, solely for its own account, and is evidence of a privately negotiated loan. And with this bond resolution, final bond resolution, the four form documents that the board will be approving in tandem with this resolution will be the actual form of the actual bond, and it will only be one bond since it is a private placement, and that bond will be in the amount of $11,900,000. And the board will consider approval for a form of the bond purchase agreement executed between the issuer, Pinnacle Bank, and Cumberland Heights. Also, a loan agreement executed between the issuer, Pinnacle Bank, and Cumberland Heights, and the form of the promissory note that is executed between the borrower and the issuer, evidencing the borrower's obligations therewith. And going quickly through the final bond resolution for the board, of course, this resolution authorizes the issuance, sale, and all the documents to move forth with a closing. So if approved today, we intend to close this transaction in short order, hopefully within a couple of weeks, if not before.
Well, they already have the groundbreaking set, right?
Well, and we don't want to interfere with that. So, so if the board does approve this today, and I'll get back to the details of the resolution shortly, If the board does approve this today, Mr. Chair, what we'll do with you and Secretary Treasurer Director Davis, we will get a signature package together, have a signing session. After we go through these documents one last time, line by line, and make sure of no typos and accuracy in all forms, we'll have you all execute that, execute the bond itself, and we will have the applicable signatories for Pinnacle Bank do the same. And at that time, this transaction will be closed. So back to the details of the resolution. You're approving, authorizing the issuance, you're approving the bond, approving the form of all the documents, the bond purchase agreement, the promissory note, the loan agreement, and to point to the board's attention specifically to Section 9 to remind the board that the board is statutorily immune from any liability. The board has, this is of no recourse to the board. So if in any way that Cumberland Heights defaults on their payments to Pinnacle Bank cannot come to the issuer and say, hey, you guys are liable for payment of the debt service on this bond. That would not be the case because of the language we put into these agreements, one, and two, because of what is codified within the Tennessee Code annotated.
Thank you for making that point. Thank you.
Absolutely. And last point, Section 10, you do agree that all of conversations, discussions, and actions facilitated, in connection here with this transaction was in compliance with the Tennessee Open Meetings Act. And we do attest that it was. And if the board does so approve this resolution, bond counsel, Attorney Buchanan, and our firm will execute and deliver our final opinions. And at that time, they will be dated the date of the closing. And at that time, this transaction will be closed. So with that, I'll take any questions from any board members who may have them.
Thank you for that. And just to note also, so there was a TEFRA hearing already.
Absolutely.
That was held last week.
March 4th.
March 4th, last Monday. That went smoothly. I was listening on the call and went smoothly. So we did have the TEFRA hearing on this as well. All right. I will start here with, to my left, Board Member Cordova. Any questions or comments about the document? Okay, thank you. Go to Board Member Wright. Board Member Wright, any questions or comments for our Issuers Council?
Just one comment.
Sure.
On the, I guess the form of promissory note, the third to last page in the packet. Looks like one minor typo. You've got, instead of 11,900,000, you're missing that last zero at the top of the page. Same line as the date, so.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying,
No, not enough zeros.
It needs to be
Needs one more.
right behind the very last one.
Well, I'm sure Cumberland will appreciate that. Thank you, Director Hastings.
Pinnacle's like, oh, man.
We will make that change, and, we will do a line by line, one final read with these documents as well, too, so.
All right, did you see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Board Member Heiston. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, actually, Sarah pointed out to me that on, I guess, the other document, there's too many zeros on the other one.
I thought it was bouncing.
This is not a page number on this one. I'll show you after the meeting.
Okay. But
Yeah, and you're gonna give it a
we
final
assure you
reading.
we'll
Final
go line by
review.
line for all the documents, so we'll take care of that. But yes, please show me that, Director Hastings. Okay, great. Well, that's extremely important, so. But yeah, we'll take care of that.
All right, outstanding. Thank you for that. All right, any questions here or comments? Okay, thank you. All right, I'll turn it over to Metro Legal. Anything else to add to these documents from your your standpoint?
No, nothing from us. Obviously, excuse me, the Carpenter Law Firm is taking the lead on this as issuers counsel for the IDB, but we've also reviewed the documents and didn't have any concerns. So we think they're in good shape.
Okay. So Corbin, aside from these changes, you'll give it a final look. Is from your perspective as our legal issuers counsel, is there any reason, is everything in order, anything that we need to know, any reason why the board should not approve these from a legal perspective?
From our standpoint, everything is in order. This transaction is in compliance with the board's policies and procedures, and we recommend approval for the board to move forward with approval.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So I will now entertain a motion to approve the final authorization bond resolution for Cumberland Heights Foundation Incorporated, 8283 River Road Pike.
I make a motion.
All right, we have a motion for Board Member Wright. Is there a second? Oh. All right, we have a second from Board Member Hannah. All right, so we have a proper second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. All right, I'll try that one more time. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed say nay. All right, motion carried. Thank you. Please let the record show that the chair abstained. All right, thank you, board. All right, moving on to item number 7, chair's report. Be brief on this. One of the items would like to continue to do is keep the board updated on previous projects. So I saw this and read an article on this. This board several years ago which actually is the most recent pilot that this board approved for the Ernest Rip Patton Transit Center in North Nashville. That project is moving forward. Reading that it's set to be open this spring. I had Metro Legal in the interim when we were without an executive director sent some pictures out several months ago on the project. I can tell you it's made quite a lot of progress since then. So really excited about that project. As part of that, I don't know if you saw this, it came out last week that WeGo has announced some changes, improvement changes to their transit system in North Nashville, and partially because now there's a transit center and there will be a transit center there in North Nashville. So anyway, really excited about that. One of the items we've discussed as this board is obviously transportation is a huge piece of people being able to work and get to jobs. So improved transportation, that corridor opens up access for a lot of people. So really exciting. Certainly we'll keep this board abreast. There was a groundbreaking about a year and a half ago that I went to and several other board members were able to attend. So we'll make sure we get the information out to the board on the grand opening ceremony for that. And again, that was the most recent pilot deal that this board approved for that WeGo facility several years ago. So really excited. If you're in the North Nashville, Clarksville Highway here in the near future, you can't miss it. Anyway, really excited about that project. So we'll continue to keep the board up to date on that. All right, as we think about moving forward over this spring, we do anticipate, again, no guarantee, but as of now, we do anticipate the TSU bond deal coming before this board next month. Obviously, there's still some work that needs to be done, but as of now, we do anticipate that coming before the board here at next month's meeting. Also, as we think about what's coming before us, here this spring, we anticipate that we'll have the Metro incentives, the annual Metro incentives coming before this board. And again, this is not the actual grant. The grants were already approved. This is the annual payout to the companies. So we anticipate that coming this spring, and we anticipate 2 companies coming before us. One would be Philips Healthcare, which, everybody has been on the board for that one. They came last year as well. And then the second one would be Alliance Bernstein, as they started their clock last year for the first year of their cash grant incentive. So we anticipate that they will be coming before us as well for the first year of their annual payout. So just want to keep the board up to date on items coming before us. All right, with that, moving on to item number 8, schedule next board meeting. We anticipate, again, based on what's coming before us, that the next board meeting will be on Wednesday, April 10th. again, Wednesday, April 10th, but again, information will be sent out prior to the meeting to confirm. All right, with there being no further business, I do move to adjourn the meeting. I want to thank my fellow board members. I want to thank everybody with the Metro team, Metro Legal, Metro Economic Development, thank the Carpenters, and all of the state, and also all of our guests. So really appreciate it, and I hope everyone has a fantastic day. We'll adjourn. Bye-bye.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.